Welcome to BFDI, but I rate them based on how important they are to the plot. Now, originally I was going to not do this because there was ads on the side and I didn't want to give them free advertising. But then I realized I could zoom in and then the ads wouldn't be there anymore. So I did that. Anyway, so we have the tier for not in this season. I'm not counting the debuters. They don't count. They're not characters yet in this season. I did, however, count David because he is in the season. I also counted announcer. So we've got all 22 BFDI contestants, or characters. Yeah. So let's go for... So the tiers are very important. These are the cream of the crop, most important. The season would not be the same at all without these characters. Tier. Quite important. The season would be different, but it wouldn't be so different that it would be unrecognizable. Slightly important. You'd need them for it to feel the same, but getting rid of them wouldn't cause too much harm. Just there, where getting rid of them, literally nothing would change whatsoever. And detrimental, where if you got rid of them, the season would be better. Or the plot would make more sense, or whatever. So let's go through. Blocky. I'm gonna put Blocky in the slightly important tier. Like, he's there. He does some things. You know, he kills Bubble and Ice Cube a couple times, and Fiery and Teardrop and basically everyone. But yeah, the season, you could replace him with Eraser or Pen, and the season would be the basis, or Snowball, and the season would be the same. Bubble, very important. This is our first very important. You get rid of Bubble, you get rid of the only positive attribute of the Alliance in this season. Yeah, very important. Coiny. I'm going to put Coiny in quite important. I'm putting him above Eraser. Sorry, that's not Eraser, that's Blocky. I'm putting him above Blocky because his thing with Fiery is like kinda half of the reason Fiery was as popular as he was, I reckon. If it weren't for the Fiery Coiny dynamic, there would have then not been the Pin Coiny dynamic and the later on Fiery and Coiny being friends. Coiny is important despite not really being there. Like, he's in the, like, Coiny is, I'm putting him in quite important because you could get rid of him and it would be fine. It would be the same thing, kind of. But that whole aspect of Fiery wouldn't be there, and I think that aspect of Fiery is what was kind of carrying him through the earlier episodes. He didn't really develop a personality until later into the season. David, detrimental. Oh my god, I hate David so much. He will never be not in detrimental in every single time I do this. I hate him. I hate him. Eraser, just there. What does Eraser do this season? He has the arm cutter. What else does he do? He's just there. Fiery, very important. Without Fiery, there's no Leafy Fiery dynamic. There's no Fiery Coiny dynamic. There's no season, really. Fiery is such a major player in the last few episodes of the season that getting rid of him just... It would not be the same, like, it wouldn't be the same without him. You could never have BFDI without Fiery. That's my takeaway. Flower. This is season 1 Flower. Detrimental. She's a poorly written antagonist in the first season who survives one elimination. She gets eliminated immediately, comes back, has immunity, and then the very next time she comes back, she has immunity, she barely survives against Rocky, who is already getting more and more votes every episode, and then the very next time she's up for elimination, she's out again. She's a very bad character in the first season. I'm basing this only off the first season, and also what it would have led to in future seasons. In season 1, she's detrimental. There's no anything in season 1. Golf Ball. Golf Ball is a hard one to place, actually. I'm going to put her in just there. because she's not actively detrimental to the plot. You know, she has her moments with Tennis Ball, and, you know, without her, some of the comic relief is missing. That's kind of all she is in the first season. Comic relief in the first few episodes. But she doesn't do anything to forward the plot. She just does, but she also doesn't do anything to negate, like, negatively impact the plot. I'm gonna put her in just there. Ice Cube. Just there. She's in, albeit she's in for much longer than Eraser and Golf Ball. She has more of an impact, but out of everyone in the final 7, she is the least important. Some could say it's her and Rocky are the least important in the final 7, but I'm gonna put her in just there as well, because she has her thing of wanting to get revenge, but she's more of just a tool for other characters to develop, and not her own character, really, as much in this season. Leafy, very important. I would argue the most important. She's the main character of the first season. She is important from the very first episode all the way through to the very last, and that's something that you cannot say about Bubble or Fiery. Leafy is an absolutely 100% most important character. You get rid of Leafy, there is no more BFDI. She is the piece that basically sets into motion almost every plot line that happened in the first season. She's the reason she's the member of the Pin and Leafy alliance. She is the one who befriends Bubble and Fiery and Ice Cube and makes their plots happen. She's the one who steals Dream Island. She's the one who does everything, essentially, this season. She is the most important character in Season 1. Match. Slightly important, because she has her thing that sets into the plotline with Pencil and Ice Cube and Bubble. Her elimination is the catalyst for Ice Cube being even mildly interesting this season. Her elimination is the catalyst for Pencil being even mildly interesting this season. Her elimination is the catalyst for Bubble being even mildly interesting this season. She doesn't do anything herself, but her elimination was the catalyst for stuff happening, and that's why I'm putting her in slightly important. Needle. Just there. She doesn't do much. She's not in the show for long enough to do much. She gets eliminated in a landslide in episode 6 or whatever, and then she's just gone for the rest. She has her thing about slapping, her "don't call me needy" thing, but that's more of a comic relief thing. She's not a tremendously important character this season. She's just there. Pen. I'm going to put Pen in slightly important, and my reasoning is because he is the one who cheats. He cheats a few times, like Blocky. Eraser also does, but he was kind of just there. Eraser was never the instigator of cheating. It was always Pen or Blocky, usually Blocky. But Pen cheats, and that's what ultimately gets him eliminated. And it it helps build Leafy's character as well. And as we've discussed, Leafy is the most important character this season. Yeah. Pencil. Quite important. She's one of the few characters this season who has an actual plot line. Early BFDI was not very good at giving their characters plots. So yeah, Pencil was the first one with an actual plot line that was existent. Sorry, I'm nervous. I'm not recording. I am. Good. Yeah. I don't know how to explain why she's important. She's just a character who left an impact on a lot of people. And once she was out of that season, you could tell that it was different. Pin. Slightly important. I'm putting her in slightly important only because she had her thing with Leafy. I was going to put her in just there originally, but then I was like, well, she had her thing with Leafy. Being associated with Leafy essentially gives you a free pass. except Ice Cube. But she was in the show. I think I'm gonna move her back down to just there. She was not that much of a character this season, but her whole thing of being bossy and sort of annoying to be around does lead into her plotline in BFDIA, which is excellent. I really can't decide if she should be in Slightly Important or Just There. I think I'll keep her in Just There for now, but if there was a one in between these two, that's where she would be. But she doesn't do much in this season, but her actions in this season do lead into how she behaves later down the line, and that's good. Rocky. Detrimental. Snowball. Just there. A lot of these earlier boots are going to be in the just there category because they never had the opportunity to get to do anything. Yeah. Snowball is a character who was mean for the sake of being mean, similar to Flower, but he had a bit more personality. This season, he was just there. Yeah. Spongy. I'm also going to put Spongy in just there because he was eliminated second, spent half the season eliminated, came back, and then did very little for the entire rest of his time in the show. And then somehow, I guess just due to not being seen, glided all the way to the final 5, where he was eliminated later, just due to being the least important person left. Let's see, who else was in the final 5 with him? It was Leafy, Pencil. It was Leafy, Bubble, Fiery, and Flower. Flower had just come. I think Flower had immunity that round, and so did Fiery. He just got the short end of the stick that round, I think. If it weren't for that, he would have absolutely made it to the final 4, which is a terrifying thought for Spongy. Teardrop. Just there. The biggest, I think, the most of the Just There characters, because she doesn't speak, and back then she was just kind of, she was just there. If I had to pick someone to be the pinnacle of Just There, it would be Eraser and Teardrop. Tennis Ball. I really, really, deeply hate to do this, but he was also just there, which is why I don't think he made it as far as he could have. The sad fate for a lot of Season 1 contestants is in Season 1, the writers were not good at writing, or they were less good at writing as they are now. They weren't so good at having distinct personalities with pros and cons and flaws. Most people were just gimmicks, or were just there to progress the plot and just as padding. That's what happens when you have 20 characters you don't particularly think out that much, and also you are 11 years old. Yeah. Woody is, as well as Eraser and Teardrop, Woody is the third biggest just there character. I might actually move him down to detrimental, just because his inclusion in Season 1 was not wanted or enjoyable. Yeah, I'll put him in detrimental simply because there was nothing about him this season that was interesting or fun or enjoyable. He was just a scaredy cat. He was, like a lot of the Season 1 characters, he was just a gimmick, and not a particularly fun one at that. And finally, Announcer. Now, I bet you're all gonna think I'm gonna put Announcer up here in Very Important. But you're actually wrong. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna put him in Just There, because you could replace him with any other character. Literally any other. Announcer in the first season did not have a personality. He was just a host. That was his job. He was the announcer. In the last episode, he gets a personality. He gets plot relevance. It's not enough for me to think of him as any more of just the host. I understand they tried to do stuff with him in the last, 3 or 4, but it wasn't enough. We were all just focused on Leafy, Bubble, and Fiery. And again, you could replace him with anyone else, and it would do just as well.